'Twas a cold winter's night, and without any heat, I wore Bombas socks so they'd warm up my feet. Yay, my feet cried, these socks are the best. So cushy and warm, I can finally rest. But don't rest, I said, there's more, if you please. Bombas also makes underwear, slippers, and tees. And for each thing you purchase, they donate one new to someone who needs it, so they're cozy too. Everybody deserves to feel good all the time, so gift Bombas this season. That's the end of this rhyme. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
I'm Ulrika Jonsson, and this is Sober Awkward.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward.
If you were living in the UK in the 90s and owned a TV, Ulrika Jonsson would have somehow impacted your life. The Swedish-British TV presenter, model, writer and media personality gained fame in the UK during the 90s and early 2000s, appearing on shows such as Gladiators, the Eurovision Song Contest, and was a team captain on the infamous BBC quiz show Shooting Stars. Ulrika is also featured on a range of reality TV shows, including Celebrity Big Brother, which she won in 2009, Dancing on Ice, Celebrity MasterChef, SAS, Who Dares Wins. And although her private life has often made the front pages of the tabloids, it is her newfound sobriety that we are celebrating today. Welcome to the Sober Awkward podcast, Ulrika.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Not at all. There's so much I want to talk about today. The temptation is that I just sort of go for it and we talk about life. So I need to keep myself on track. We are hard to talk about sobriety and nothing else. But when I started researching for this episode, I remember thinking, was Ulrika part of that 90s ladette culture? I don't remember photos of her falling out of the nightclubs necessarily. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll start by researching what podcasts have you been on. Now, I don't know if this is news to you or not. I shall ask you, can you guess the name of any of the podcasts that you have been on?
I do remember one of the early ones I was on, ironically, was Drunk Women Solving Crime.
Yes, that was one. And the other one, which is equally ironic, is White Wine Question Time.
Oh, White Wine Question, that's right.
So I was like, I don't remember her being
There's a link
known
here.
for drinking, but there's podcast hosts out there have gone, Ulrika Jonsson, White Wine, Solving Crime, or White Wine Question Time. She's the perfect guest. So, okay, maybe I had this wrong all along.
I think that's quite interesting that you bring that up because, when I first think about sort of my current sobriety, you try and reflect on your alcoholic times. You sort of go, well, there wasn't really massive issues through the years, but when you dissect it, yes, probably. And I would say that I was definitely part of the early, the ladettes group of celebrity women who I know don't know if I was so much falling out of nightclub. It was probably more coming out of pubs and bars and whatever. And well, I'm sure we'll get to it, but more of a sort of binge drinking thing that, you know, you were drinking alcohol for the effects rather than for the pleasure of the taste, so to speak. And
yes.
And I do think also society as a whole does have a massive issue with women drinking. I think we accept men drinking more readily, that it's expected of men to drink or be drunk. But a drunk woman is disgusting. It's kind of, she's not supposed to behave like that. She's out of control. It's demeaning. So I think in a way, during that time, you know, I was proving, I mean, I was on Shooting Stars downing a pint in so many seconds or whatever else. So it was already sort of put in place there. And I was willing to say, listen, I can drink you under the table. It was kind of not strictly a feminist thing, but it was a thing of wanting to be treated equally in every aspect of life, I think, you know, and certainly drinking and partying was one of those, that women are as ready to go as men are.
Such an interesting shift in times, isn't it? It was very much part of the culture then. Like, girls drinking was like, hey, you can drink like a guy. Wow, what a legend. And now, you know, that is frowned upon. It's sort of the age of wellness. And if you can do a downward dog and meditate every day, then you're a legend. You know, that's the new cool today. But you refer to two different labels that we hear a lot of in the sobriety world, just in that opening answer, which was you labeled yourself as a binge drinker and you labeled yourself as an alcoholic. And we spoke briefly just before we started recording about that term. Some people feel that is an aged term that we try and avoid, and it depicts too much of an image that we sometimes don't like to relate to. Others hold on to it as a sign of I reached rock bottom and it's my motivation to stay sober. How do you feel about that term alcoholic?
I think it's really, really interesting. So because, I mean, there's so much attached to that. I knew as a child that my maternal grandparents were alcoholics. They sort of drank throughout the day. They weren't like abusive or anything like that, but they were, I guess, functioning alcoholics. But I remember hearing the word, and then the reference to my grandmother was that even though she had sort of supposedly stopped drinking, which I think she never really did, that you still referred to people who had stopped drinking as alcoholics, which I thought was so kind of bizarre. When I first wrote I wrote a piece for the Sun newspaper about my sobriety, I didn't use the term alcoholic. And I think that was deliberate. It was almost a way of sort of easing the public in to understanding, because I'd previously written a piece about a year before that, because there'd been an incredible rise in women binge drinkers. They were I think British women are the highest or the best binge drinkers in the you know, Western world or whatever. And I said, oh, this is on the rise. And I remember writing, I'd like to cut down, but I never want to give up, which was interesting reflecting on that then. But I wanted to make the point that actually there are a lot of people who have issues with drink, who are kind of living in amongst us, who would never refer to themselves as alcoholics. But you and I would know that they are. And I think that one of the first sort of, it wasn't the first, but one of the first support group meetings that I went to, the lady who was hosting it started off by saying, if you have a problem with alcohol, you're in the right place. And I thought to myself, that's exactly it. So many people, a handful of people had said to me, are you sure you're an alcoholic? Because they had never seen me. They had no sort of visual record of me either disgracing myself or being out of control in that respect. Apart from out of control funny, of course, because everyone's hilarious when they're drunk until they're not. And at that point, I started to feel like it didn't matter what I was, because the problem was I had a problem with alcohol. So initially, the word alcoholic stuck in my throat, because our vision of an alcoholic is a homeless man in a trench coat drinking out of a paper bag on a bench, probably. Mm-hmm. We don't look at the middle class housewife who is absolutely dependent on her wine every night, or her 2 bottles, or having to start earlier every day, or self-medicating, whatever else, who are sort of living in plain sight. We don't class those people. And I know I've come across so many people who have a problem with the word alcoholic. And I do agree, it's almost as if it's an old-fashioned term. But I kind of say it now with pride, because I feel like I've had to come to terms with the fact that there was a problem. There was a problem there. And the word for that is alcoholic. So if anyone wants me to say it, then yeah, I am an alcoholic, or recovering alcoholic. Some people choose to say, of course.
So just to get your timeline right, so 12 months ago, you write an article and said, I want to cut down, but oh my gosh, I'll never give up. Am I right in thinking, as of recording, you are 7 months sober?
Yeah, 7 months and nearly 2 weeks.
Good. So, 7.5, and every day counts. And I remember you wrote that you said, basically there was a build-up of anxiety and traumatic situations that were coming at you from all angles, which sort of culminated in you giving up completely. What's your memory of that time? What shifted with regards to your drinking that suddenly made you think, oh, hang on, something's changed. Now I need to pack it in.
It's fascinating when you kind of really dissect it and reflect, because I could say to you, oh, I've been fine. I've not had issues with it. But what I think towards the end of my drinking, initially I'd say, but I don't drink every day, which I didn't. I could only cope with drinking every second day because I'd have the hangover the next day. So that would be a day of rest. But then what started to happen was, to cure the hangover, I would have to have a drink. And then I found that I had to have a drink if someone was coming to the house. I had to have a drink if I had to have a conversation with somebody. I might just have a drink because it was a laugh. But that was also the other thing, was like, because I was able to, I did. And it became more and more frequent, more and more. I certainly wasn't a 9 o'clock in the morning thing, but there wasn't a time where it wouldn't have been unsuitable. I mean, I would plan it because I couldn't drink and drive. And where I live, you have to drive everywhere. So at least I had the sanity to avoid that. But then I would find excuses. If my son said, can you come pick me up? I'd have to find an excuse if I'd had a drink without telling him that I'd had a drink. It was getting in the way a lot more. And I'd been reading increasingly, or seeing certainly on social media, more and more people embracing sobriety for health reasons, right? Yeah. And I was like, yada, yada, yada. Well, that does sound like a good idea. I'm sure that's what I'll probably head for, just like I, did juicing once upon a time, or did the 5-2 diet, or, whatever it is. You sort of think like there's always a new health thing. So I kind of had that at the back of my mind that, well, that's not a bad thing, is it, to give up alcohol? But then my drinking really took off. And so I seemed to be further away from being able to kind of grasp that. And towards the end, I was drinking, every day, because the awful anxiety just got the better of me. I knew in my mind that I would have to stop, but I didn't have the will. I didn't want to. Because I just didn't know how to function without it. And then there's this thing of like, I felt that I was overtaken by something else. It wasn't me going to the cupboard to get the drink. It was almost like I was on autopilot, whether I wanted to or not. I just kind of did it. And I did it because I could. I had so much stuff attached to that. It was just purely a build-up of not being able to cope with life, a build-up of probably the last few years of, lots of external factors coming at me, feeling very much alone in coping with that, and then trying to medicate my anxiety. And I have to say, alcohol is amazing. It's fantastic for anxiety. It's also the worst thing in the world for anxiety. and when people say, oh, your anxiety levels will go down when you stop drinking, I was like, there's no way. There is no way that's physically possible, because you can't imagine a world or a life without it. I would say I just did not recognize myself. The last stages of my drinking, I just had no way of identifying with myself. Had the voices in my head telling me to drink, the other voice saying, who are you? What are you doing? What have you become? But obviously the former won out every time at that point.
What did it take for the other voice to get louder? Was it a conversation with a friend? Was it an article you read? Was it a particular moment? You know, what happened on the day that you were like, and now I'm done?
About 12 days before I did give up, my best friend, who is my absolute bestie, my ride or die, you know, we're very close, we're very honest with each other. She phoned me on a Saturday morning, which is unheard of. Even though we message every day, she phoned me. She said, I need to speak to you. She said, I phoned you yesterday afternoon at 4:00 and I couldn't understand a fucking word you said to me. She said, I want you to know this comes from a place of love, but you have a problem and I can't help you. And I think when you have something as stark as that from somebody that you trust implicitly and who you know loves you, and she said to me that she had been in tears at times because she felt so helpless, and that her friend, she'd lost her friend. She didn't know who I was. Now, I had no recollection of that phone conversation. So that was another blackout, another drinking to the point of not recalling what that conversation was about. I was so distressed by that conversation. I was absolutely in tears. And I think the overwhelming feeling was one of shame, absolute shame. But I didn't give up. I didn't give up at that point. I still hadn't got to the bottom of the barrel, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then very strangely, as I said, about 12 days later, I had a bad hangover, no worse than any other hangover, I guess, but bad enough. And I was sitting on the sofa and I just reached out to another friend of mine who is 5 years sober. And I just sent her a message. It wasn't as if I did it. It just happened. I can't explain that because I just sent her a message and I said, I can't do this anymore. And immediately she didn't know what I was talking about. She said, why? What's happened? I said, I have to stop drinking. And she said, right, okay, I'm here for you. Let me help you. Like, let me sort you out. Even at that point, I didn't think it was going to be possible, but I felt like it was something overtook me and made me send that message. And I absolutely didn't think it would ever be possible, because I think the problem we all have is the idea of giving up alcohol forever. Yes. Who would do that? Like, that's endless. But I'm guessing I had the gift of desperation at that point. I had known that it was going to happen. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that, nothing worse happened. Like, there was something really awful that happens. I speak to people who've lost their marriages, their children, their driver's license. Thankfully for me, it didn't get to that. And I'm forever grateful for that. That was the point. The 5th of June.
That we'll forever remember it. That is a story that gives me so much hope, because we get a lot of listeners to the podcast who write to us and say, my best friend, my partner, my family member is an alcoholic or an overdrinker, and I don't know what to do. I guess because the narrative is you can't convince someone to give up alcohol. They have to want to do it for themselves. It's impossible. But I actually think, someone you love and trust, like your best friend, saying something, maybe didn't convince you to go sober, but it certainly planted the seeds that took 12 days to germinate. So I think that, you can do something as a best friend or a partner or a family member. Yes, of course, fundamentally it was your decision, but it was through two friends, one that called you and one that you called, that kickstarted the whole thing by the sounds of it.
I've come across this more and more in your adult life, how it is really difficult to bring up awkward issues with your friends. It really is. I guess when we were teenagers and one thing and another, it would come out in different ways. It would come out in sort of bullying or nasty remarks or something like that. But as an adult, actually saying to a really close friend, to be able to have the courage to kind of have that honesty and say that takes a lot. So it was like almost a bigger deal for her in a way. But I think it's definitely, I mean, if you want to feel that you have tried everything, then that has to be an option. And if you truly love somebody, you're doing yourself and them an injustice if you don't try at least to say something. Like you say, the will has to come from the person with the issue. But yeah, I reflected on that too, thinking, gosh, that is quite a big deal to say to your best friend. And but I was just overwhelmed with shame. And then I drank on that shame because I needed to remove that shame from me. So that's why I couldn't give up straight away, because I needed to get rid of the shame first. Well, shame didn't leave me for ages, but you know.
What a good friend. What a special person to have.
Yeah, she bloody is. She does say now, actually, sorry to interrupt. She does say now, she says, she's so immensely proud of me. And she says, I've got my friend back. I never thought it would happen, but I've got my friend back. And so, you know, that lifts me up.
I often think only your best friends or the people that you tell repeatedly will remember your soberversary. I feel like your friend, 5th of June, will be there this year with some flowers and some chocolates or whatever you want to celebrate with. Your life, like many of us, had lots of ups and downs. And it's usually the downs that seem to impact us on our use of alcohol, other drugs. I'm going to do something quite cruel here, I feel, which is basically to run through some of your lowlights, which is an awful thing to do, but I feel like I have to do it. So I don't get too down as I run through these. Your mum left when you were 8 and you effectively had to look after your dad and your siblings in her place. At 19, you were raped. You were involved in domestic abuse with the footballer Stan Collymore. You've had marriages break down. You've lived through every parent's nightmare, which is when your daughter Bo had open heart surgery as a baby. And she's lived through all sorts of health struggles since, I understand. It's obviously impossible to know how much just one or the combination of all of those can really have on us. But how do you reflect on the marks some of those have left on you? You know, do you feel like it impacted your drinking or impacted your relationship with alcohol?
Oh gosh, that's such a brilliant question, because with the exception, I mean, I very rarely, if at all, drank during any of those. Well, obviously I didn't drink when I was 8. I just want to clear that up when my mum left. But for sure, as somebody who's gone to therapy on and off for the past 32 years, have a better, and I thought that, as we do, all the things that happened to me or happened in my childhood are just normal things, and I'm just trotting along in life until someone says, you know, that's not normal, or you know, that's not right, or you know, that's a trauma. I think because I was just such a keep going person, I didn't deal with a lot of those things at all, and always held myself responsible for those things. So not so much that my mum left, but I wasn't enough for her to stay. You know, that's how it was working out in my head. And certainly when you're in an abusive relationship, you're made to feel that you're the problem or the guilty one anyway. So that, at fault. So that was it. And, you know, with my daughter being ill, you know, that again was not something that I thought, why me? Because I just thought, well, these things happen to people. She had a congenital heart defect, whatever, one in a however many. I shouldn't necessarily be exempt from that. But I, in my head, was saying, I don't think this was meant for me. Weirdly. I'm just like going, pretty sure. I remember the first thing I said to my agent at the time when this was going on, because I was coming up to 34 or whatever it was I was when Bo was born. But when I first found out, I said, oh God, this sounds dreadful. I really don't want to become one of these charity people now that just has to raise funds for people with congenital heart defects. Not that I poo-poo that at all, but I just didn't feel that was me. But of course, then you have to crack on. Her biological father left me when I was 8 months pregnant. So there was that as well. And certainly even going back to the rape situation, that was, you know, I was 19, kind of 20. In those days, date rapes didn't exist. So, of course, I took responsibility for it. And in those days and today still, women are blamed for it or made to feel guilty about their behaviours or whatever else. I knew and know now that that wasn't my fault. But again, there's a feeling of like, well, these things happen to you. So I guess these episodes in your life happen and they build up and they sit with you. And you're right, if you don't properly deal with them as they happen, because they build up, they become a massive, complicated trauma. And it makes your behavior, I guess, a bit volatile. One thing that I've learned is that drinking was very good for killing my feelings. It made drink my best friend because it was the only thing that would calm all the complex things, childhood things, teenage, adult, whatever it is, present things that are going on. It was absolutely my best friend. It was the perfect solution. It's like almost, why have you not thought of this before? And also, it's so acceptable. You can buy alcohol anywhere, everywhere you go. There's alcohol on the telly, there's alcohol in films, there's alcohol everywhere. It's like the world's telling me to drink. I do think the great thing about therapy is that you discuss these things and you understand them, but I'm not sure entirely if I healed from them properly. So I think that's something that's been happening a lot more through my sobriety, which is fascinating, and which is why I'm so grateful for my sobriety, because it's taken me to places that I've never been before.
Having drunk to sort of not deal with feelings for so long, did you feel in those first probably weeks or even months of sobriety that you sort of get hit with this tidal wave of feelings and feel like you burst out crying at nothing at all every now and then and you're sort of processing a lot? Or has it been gentler on you?
It was different because I didn't have that. I think my main focus, I was concentrating so hard on not having that first drink, like not going to have that drink. So at the beginning, you're kind of like, those are old habits that are so ingrained that it's so easy, so used to, I could walk blindfolded to the cupboard where the alcohol is. I know exactly where the bottle is and whatever. Well, I felt I was overtaken by a sense of calm.
Thank you for calling the Bombas Comfort Line. Bombas make socks, slippers, tees, and underwear made with the highest quality materials. Press 1 for comfort, 2 for style, 3 for donation. You chose style. Bombas has styles for whatever you enjoy. You can run in Bombas, lounge in Bombas, dress them up, dress them down, but always give back in Bombas. Because with every item purchased, another is donated. Bombas, comfort worth calling for. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
So again, I've recognized a lot of my feelings. So I have sort of dealt with them in many respects, but I haven't healed from them. I haven't said, okay, put that away now. So I felt a sense of calm. What I was feeling from those early days, I just could not shake the shame. I couldn't shake the shame at all. So I was just going over and over and over again. All the conversations I couldn't remember. I'd wake up in the morning, sometimes bruises on my arms where I just knocked into the wall. I would say, and this is still true, I have osteoarthritis in my hip, so I'm quite wobbly anyway. But at least now when I'm wobbly, I know it's not because I'm pissed. But, I'd knock into things or fall, and I wouldn't remember. Or waking up in the morning and finding that I had a new haircut because I'd trimmed my hair the night before, which is a great idea.
Great idea, yes.
But yeah, so for me, it was the shame. That was the overwhelming thing. And I think that's actually harder to deal with. And I think because beforehand, while I was drinking, my feelings were such extreme highs and such extreme lows. Once I took the drinking out, they leveled out a bit, but it was the shame. The shame probably took a couple of months to, I don't know how long. And I thought I'd never get rid of that. Mm-hmm. That was the heaviest.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing to try and make peace with. I still have 2 or 3 stories that I'm like, I can't find peace in that. Like there is shame there. I need to accept the shame. You apologise to people who need to apologise and hope that's enough. There's no point beating yourself up about it, but it's so much easier said than done to be like, okay, well, that was drunk me and now I'm sober. So, I'm mixed. I'm mended.
Yeah. If you made an effort to make a change in your life, then in order for you to be able to move on, you can't be stuck in that period of time where that was all happening, because then there would be no point in you giving up. You might as well carry on drinking. And I can't remember if it was on the lovely Drunk Mummy, Sober Mummy's Instagram thing that it came up in my algorithms, where she posted something like a picture of her drunk or whatever and said, I used to look at these pictures with shame, but now I realise that person was sick and whatever. And that was when my shame changed. Seeing that post changed everything, because I realised, oh my gosh, I've never really taken pity on myself. I've never had that sort of self-pity thing or whatever. And I realised you were ill. You were suffering. And actually, you didn't need shame. You needed scooping up and looking after and being cared for and listened to. And that sort of changed. That changed everything just like that. It made me look at that differently. But it took time. It wasn't something like that. Certainly didn't happen right from the start.
That is going to absolutely make her day when she hears that. She's editing this episode. She's going to be buzzing on hearing the effect that such a post had. She will be thrilled. Oh, that's great. Anyone that goes sober, I feel like we recommend there's a combination of different levers that you can pull to help you get through. You've mentioned therapy. There are sober groups. You've got a good sober friend. We always talk about the importance of having that buddy. People get into exercise. People get into diets. People get into all sorts of different things. What sort of combination have you used that has helped you get this far?
I haven't done it on my own. The will to give up obviously had to come from me. And that very day when I reached out to a friend, I went to a support group that very day and cried my way through the whole session, because I thought, God, how demeaning to find yourself here. What have you become? What's become of you? But also listening to what everybody said, I immediately had a sense of belonging. People from all different walks of life and different class, different, everything. And then a sense of comfort and belonging was kind of overwhelming, and it felt like I was in the right place. So that was definitely the first thing. And then my friend also recommended a book called Living Sober, and I just read the first couple of chapters. And I remember the 3 things, the 3 mantras sort of in that book, which was try not to have that first drink. It's not going to make things better. And number 3, one day at a time. And as soon as I heard those 3 things, I could cling on to those every single day. It's like, try not to have that first drink. It's not going to make anything better. And don't panic about this being forever. It's one day at a time. Just get through. Because I think the overwhelming thing, and it was for me, because I wanted it to be forever, is realizing that sobriety isn't a destination as such. It really is a journey. I know it sounds so twee, but it's so true, isn't it? Like, I can say to you, I'm sober and I'm not going to drink today. And God willing, I don't this time right now. And I hope that I don't. And I will work hard to not, because I think that's probably also the reason that a lot of people don't want to investigate their own or look at their own drinking habits. Because I've met a lot of people who've said, I'm just so angry. Like, I don't want to be an alcoholic. Why should I have to give up drinking? And then I think, oh, maybe you haven't gone as far. You haven't come as low, or something as terrible as has happened to other people hasn't happened to you yet. And yeah, there's so much shame surrounding it. And then the prospect of giving it up forever is too much. It's too much to think of. I had somebody say to me, a friend of his who had not drunk for a couple of decades or whatever, an older man. And this man said, even on my deathbed, I'm not having a drink. It'll be the last thing that I do. And I thought that was a really good way of looking at it, because I could just imagine the old me would go, what? I'm going to die in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Give us a shot of rum just for old time's sake. And now I think, no, I wouldn't want to do that. So it's interesting how your mind can change.
Yeah. I interviewed an Australian musician called Ziggy Alberts recently, and he, like me, was like, forever, like you mentioned, getting up forever seems impossible and terminal and frightening. So he goes, I don't give up forever, I give up indefinitely, which I guess is similar to the sort of day by day thing, but indefinitely seemed so much lighter. I was like, I can do indefinitely. Indefinitely is fine. Just forever.
Yeah.
Forever's the problem. It really helped
funny,
me reframe it.
Yeah, and different words. And I think that's what it is, that you have to cling on to the words that work for you. And also boring. Like, oh my God, life is going to be so boring without alcohol. I'm going to be so boring without alcohol, even just for the occasional fun time. And yeah, it's too much, isn't it? It's too overwhelming. And I think if you think about it like that, it's very hard to give up.
For sure. I've found proving it to myself and to others that I'm not boring without alcohol is maybe the most rewarding bit about being sober. And I still love dancing. Like, I'm still an extrovert. I still like going to parties. It's like, that's the best bit. And overhearing somebody go, he dances like that and he's not even drunk is my highlight. Like, that's as good as it gets for me within sobriety. I'm thrilled when I hear those comments.
Yeah, no, isn't that great? Isn't that great? Yeah.
I want to talk to you briefly about Christmas, because Christmas came relatively early in your sobriety. I remember you writing about it, going, I'm dreading it, because obviously English culture, boozy Christmas, Swedish culture, boozy Christmas Eve. And you're going, I don't know what to do. It's coming up, I'm 6 months sober and it's come around. You then made the decision to spend it alone. We are 2-3 weeks after Christmas now. How was it? How did you find it?
Well, I spent Christmas Day on my own. And quite frankly, that was the best day. I did spend Christmas Eve and then Boxing Day with 3 of my children, because one was abroad traveling. And I have to say, Christmas Eve, which was obviously the first day, normally in this house where we do a big Swedish Christmas Eve, is a day of drinking shots and going completely bonkers and putting on music and whatever. So for me, I just didn't know how, I just felt uneasy. And I felt really uneasy until they arrived, because normally before they arrive, I would have had a couple of drinks to calm my nerves and to get in the mood. To relax me, to be a more fun mum and be cheery and whatever else. I was so restless in that time. And then when they came, and there wasn't any, they were really sweet. Like my oldest son, who's 30, said to me, Mum, if you want to, we won't drink. I said, hell no. I'm surrounded by alcohol everywhere. I can't live in a world shielded from alcohol. This is my new reality now. So no, absolutely not. And I bought alcohol for them and whatever else. I mean, they didn't go hard or anything like that. They just enjoyed it and we had a really nice time. But as soon as they got there, I think because they are certainly my oldest son who was there, my 16-year-old, he's like, I'm just an annoying mum at the moment. So because the older one is so supportive, I felt like I had that support, and obviously I'm doing it for me, but I wouldn't have wanted to let him down or whatever else. And I think even on Boxing Day, when we did the turkey and everything, they came back Boxing Day. And of course, Christmas Day on my own would have been a perfect day drinking day. Yes. Absolutely. I know exactly how that day would have gone in the past. Yeah. Gone out for a dog walk, come back, treated myself to a drink. And then that drinking would have gone on all day until I went to bed early or whatever, not remembering who I'd messaged or what I'd said or what I'd done. But I was enjoying being away from people. Yay. Because what you discover as well.
How did you feel it?
I mean, the beauty today of mobile phones and all that stuff, people are always messaging, Happy Christmas. No. So, there was a lot of contact with the outside world. And in many respects, I felt like I wasn't being left alone. I kind of wanted people to leave me alone. Did a little bit of food prep, had the telly on, just sat down, wore what I wanted, ate what I wanted when I wanted, and watched what I wanted, and and then kind of went to bed. So it was almost like any other child-free weekend. Even though I knew, it was Christmas Day for everyone. What I've discovered in sobriety as well, which I guess I probably knew while I was still drinking, but it becomes more pertinent when you're sober, is that a lot of people sometimes becomes too much. And the advice that I was given ahead of Christmas was, if you need to take 5 minutes out to just go upstairs to sort of your bathroom or wherever you want to go, just take 5 minutes away from everyone, do it. And I did one time, just went upstairs just for a few minutes to stuff, because they're your own children. They get on your tits. So like under normal circumstances, you know, and I think that was a useful tool to have. And I was quite restless. I was like, oh, okay, can we go to bed now? I kind of wanted the day to be over. But yeah, I was restless initially. I never felt tempted to pick up. But I was triggered, you know, and they were old habits. You know, when you're in an old scenario and you know what would normally happen, those feelings come back to you. And then you have to go, I'm not that person anymore. You're not going to do that. I got through it, but I was also warned, you know, be careful getting through Christmas and then relaxing through January when you think you've done Christmas and you can relax. Yeah. But then, of course, everyone's doing sodding dry January.
Yeah. We're joined by the masses for a month at least.
Yeah, for a month where they go, oh, wasn't I clever for 31 days?
It's funny. I like the fact that your eldest son asked whether or not you wanted him to drink or not. I always feel like I don't care if anyone drinks around me, but anyone that asks, I feel like I love the fact that you've bothered asking. That's a level of respect that I never gave to any sober person I ever met. It does mean I had a date. A friend of mine was visiting from America this sort of time last year, and he goes, I'm not going to drink because you don't drink. And we had a day where we went 10-pin bowling, and then we played on arcades, and then we had a lemonade and went home. And I was like, we've basically just done a 10-year-old birthday party as 34-year-olds. Is effectively what we've just done here. But it was quite sweet and innocent. We had good chats. But you've spoken a fair bit just then about being a mum. There's a question that I want to ask, which I feel like so many of our listeners are mums. And I feel as if they will want to hear your answer to this question, which is, as any parent, but particularly like you're a parent of 4 children, it's easy to put all of their needs before your own. And I've heard you talk about recently, you know, trying to shift to focusing on yourself a little bit more, which is not easy at all. I imagine sobriety is playing a part in that. How have you found that? Because it is not easy to do when you're a busy mum of 4 to go, you know what, it's not piss off, but it's certainly let me have a little bit of me time and try and focus on my own stuff.
I think this is something that happens to a lot of mothers, and I'm 57 now, so obviously sort of menopausal, whatever. And it's something that seems to happen to women of that age, you know, anything from sort of mid-40s or whatever onwards, depending on what age you had your children. But I was so completely absorbed in my children. It was either work or my children. And there was never time for me. Never time for me. I was never the priority, never top of the list. I was never even one of these who would, you know, go on a yoga retreat or, you know, I'm going and having a day in the spa or whatever else. I just felt like, no, I have to be here. This is my role. I mean, I did used to, a few years ago, used to go swimming 3 mornings a week, and I would go at like 5 a.m. So I was back to get the kids ready for school, so it didn't interfere with their day. So it's definitely a thing for women, very much so, I think, for women who have dedicated their life to the children, and then also with the change in the hormones, discovering like, hang on a minute, because our purpose was fertility, have children, be maternal, all that stuff. When that goes away, you're left with what? And I was left with, who am I? Who am I away from all these children? All 4 of them. No, but who am I away from them? And I have to tell you that I started I divorced, 6.5 years ago or something. And I've sort of largely been single since then. Loads of dating and some brief spells, but no relationships per se. And that was a new thing for them to have to get used to. And I was very strict at the beginning. I was like, no, I have boundaries now. I am a person in my own right. But it's taken them years, especially my oldest daughter, who I'm very close to, the one with the cardiac defect, because we've been very, very close throughout, obviously, her life. And she found it very difficult for me to be anything other than mum. So anything new she felt threatened by, less so threatened by the sobriety. She felt very proud about that. But it brings its own things, because I think it reinforces that desire and that need to get to know yourself away from everyone else, because you haven't got the alcohol to lose yourself in. You haven't got the alcohol to blur the lines between being you and being mum. It's a very kind of, it's one or the other. And it's a really difficult balance. I'm still learning. It's like a tightrope, and I'm still learning to walk it. I find it very difficult to lay down those boundaries. And there have been some sort of arguments with my oldest daughter where, you know, just in terms of where I've sort of had to put my foot down and said, no, I want space. I don't want you here. Oh, you don't love me. No, it's nothing to do with me not loving you, but I am also a person in my own right. They're obviously proud of you being sober, but equally, I think there's probably a little bit of, because I've changed, it changes you. Hopefully it's changing me for the better. I really believe it has. But that's a change nonetheless, isn't it? But I think it's really important for women, as early as they can, is to try and identify who they are away from the children. I know it's really, really difficult. A lot of women are either working and caring for the children at home at the same time, and maybe even caring for elderly parents, and their role is, you know, there are so many roles that they're juggling that they get lost and unidentified. And that's why I think we start to take no bullshit when we get to this age. I'm much more tolerant of lots of other things. I'm much sort of calmer about things. But yeah, it's weird to think that you get to 57 and you're just starting to get to know yourself. I always feel like the rest of the world was kind of born fully formed. Everyone knew who they were, and they were also perfect and whatever else. And I was just a misfit, and I just sat on the periphery and always felt sort of on the outside of everything that's going on. But I think in truth, for a lot of women, there's that loss of identity that comes with having children, and then finding a new identity or reclaiming the old one, whichever happens.
I feel like it comes up a lot, actually. People get sober and then start putting up boundaries. Like for the first time, they're like, okay, I'm brave enough, or I'm open to having those awkward conversations like we referred to earlier, to set boundaries and every now and then say no. Because more often than not, people that I speak to that overdrank were people pleasers. Like we are yes people. We are not no people. We are not give me space people. We are not, this is what I need right now, even if it's going to sound rude to you. So it's not easy, but it does seem to be something I hear a lot. People go sober and then like, right, here are my boundaries. Here are the rules now that I'm finally able to find the strength to put in place. What
I've discovered is that there's greater clarity that comes with sobriety. So suddenly things become very clear. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it was really quite scary for me, the first, the times where I've had to put down the boundaries with either my daughter or even with my son, and I've had to stand there firm, and I haven't had the comfort of leaning on a drink to give me the courage to sort of say it, but I have to do it stone cold sober and very calmly and say, I'm afraid not, that's not going to happen. And they look at you like, who the fuck are you? Where's the mum who brings me a cup of tea in bed and wipes my ass? Like they really, it's a really new thing for me. And it's something that has only come along even through years of doing sobriety, doing therapy, and being told that I need to assert myself, or I need to not be so people pleasing and not. I still couldn't do it. And it wasn't until I became sober that I'm able to have much more direct, clear conversations with people, like you say.
You referred to earlier the fact that you are single and dating. Sober dating is the subject that comes up the most often, that I feel the least prepared to answer. I was married when I got sober. I don't know what it's like. I've never done it. I'm terrified by the concept of it. I'm impressed by anyone that can do it and do it with any kind of class or success. How have you found it?
Well, my friend who's been sober for 5 years is obviously, and I've only known her about 4 years or whatever. So I've only known her sober, and I've only known her dating sober. And I was like, how is that different? Like, I didn't care, or wasn't that interesting. I've only sort of done it a couple of times, because obviously I gave up in June, and I think I had my first sort of date in September, late September or whatever else. oh my God, it's just so different. But I was really honest and upfront before the date and said, I don't drink. And I explained that it had become a problem and whatever. I thought, because if you can't take that, then there's no point in us even meeting for a date. And this person was very respectful. Again, did the thing of like, if you want me not to drink, I'm like, no, hell no.
Good.
Have your drinks. What ended up happening was exactly the thing of me panicking that I wasn't going to be entertaining enough or enough without alcohol, and got nervous about that. And also getting ready for the date. I would normally been downing 2 or 3 rums, putting my makeup on, relaxing me to get in the mood. Not having that, oh God, what can I do? And I found it quite frustrating, not the person, but the situation, that first date. And then it sort of dawns on you, like, and I did say, like, you're never going to see me drunk. And part of me thinking, I really wish this person could also see me drunk, like I just once. But that's not on my agenda. It's not me. So, yeah, I think initially, and my friend saying, oh, you shouldn't date for the first, however many months while you're sober. And I was like, do you know what? If some bloke's going to break my heart, he's going to do it in 2 months or 10 months. It doesn't matter. Or if I'm going to be upset or triggered by a situation, it's going to... And also, I'm 57. Time's not on my side. I have to crack on. And she laughed, but it's so true. I'm like, I'm not hanging around here. But it is very different. But I don't think it's anything to fear, because it's possible and people do it and it happens. I think the problem might come if you are with an overdrinker or it becomes an issue within the situation or the relationship. Having said that, I've not been on dates with someone who's got stupidly drunk and been a burden and been a pain in the arse, because when we're sober, we look down on people who get drunk. Well, not down on, but I love seeing people enjoy themselves, like at Christmas when everybody was drinking nice wine and whatever else. That gave me great pleasure. But, if someone becomes a pain in the arse, then obviously it becomes annoying, because also we identify that we were those people before. So, yeah, I think it's different. It's requires a little bit of extra strength and oomph and confidence and whatever else, but it is possible. It's definitely possible. And I'll be damned if a bloke, a date or whatever else is going to drive me to drink. Like, there's no way in the world I would want to pick up just because I feel like I need to ahead of a date. No. So yeah, it's kind of lucky you that you don't have to go out and do that.
For now, as long as she sticks with me, as long as I behave myself.
Hang on in there.
I'd like to finish just by telling you something, Ulrika. I've always felt like your superpower, more so than your talent on camera or anything you've achieved in your career, has been in your openness to talk. I'm sure you've overshared at times, but we'll have a bit of that on Sober Awkward. You speak about your experiences, including all of the difficult ones that we mentioned during this podcast, long before it became okay or applauded to speak about them. You've been vocal about your sobriety without preaching, which is something we certainly feel the same way about. And your sobriety story, I've got no doubt, is going to help thousands of people, because it isn't a story of complete rock bottoms and drinking out of that plastic bag on a park bench. It's more of an everyday one that millions of people, I'm sure, will be able to relate to. It's a story of someone noticing that alcohol isn't serving them anymore and taking ownership for an improved life. I knew before we even started recording this, Ulrika, that we would get on. I was like, you've sort of been on screens throughout my life. And I thought, yes, I can click with you. And I'm sure that so many of our listeners will feel the same way as that. So on behalf of them, I want to thank you for coming on the Sober Awkward podcast and sharing your story with us. I feel very grateful to have had this conversation.
Oh, thank you so much for your kind words. And yeah, honesty is my currency. And it's a pleasure, because I feel like discussing these things, I learn something new from people every day. And it's so wonderful to hear bits from your story or whatever else. I'm just a wonderful 57-year-old sponge dying to hear and learn information. It's great. No, I really enjoy it. You can have me on again once I've gone past my 1-year mark. Maybe then I'll stop counting.
Let's do it. 5th of June, we'll get you back on for a little sober party.
Yeah.
If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
Do they have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the...
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
There's just something about fall cooking. That first cool night when you throw on a hoodie, fire up the grill, and the smell of sizzling steak fills the air. Lately, I've been all about convenience on busy weeknights, and Omaha Steaks has totally changed the game for me. I ordered their Butcher's Favorite Box. Juicy filet mignons, burgers, and even some comfort meal sides like potatoes au gratin. Every cut was tender, flavorful, and easy to prepare. I just seasoned, seared, and in minutes, we were eating like it was a steakhouse dinner. It's honestly the best of both worlds. Convenience and that handcrafted, heartland flavor Omaha Steaks is known for. Bring home the legendary flavor and everyday convenience of Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their semi-annual sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code HOLIDAY at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code HOLIDAY at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
For centuries, colonization has fractured our relationship with the land. We've come to position ourselves outside of nature, as observers and masters of it, as if it were ours to control and bend to our will. But the earth pushes back, reminding us otherwise. I'm Leah Thomas. I'm the founder of the nonprofit Intersectional Environmentalist, and I'm excited to be returning as your host for Season 4 of As She Rises. This season, we're exploring rewilding. We'll hear how communities are letting the land lead and reimagining what it means to truly coexist with the natural world. Subscribe now and listen to this season of As She Rises wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, It wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends. Buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy.
Yeah.
Buy it, yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Yeah, buy another one.
Yeah.